Hey there, Lexies, welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Mary and this is my vlog channel. I haven't made a Vegas related video in a minute and I know you guys love those. So today I'd like to rate my favorite Vegas shows from worst to best, with the majority of these shows being shows that I saw this year. So they're still kind of fresh in my memory. If you live here and you haven't seen all the shows, or if you're looking to visit Vegas in the near future, this list might help you decide what you think is worth it or isn't. Cue the intro. Starting off at number one, being the worst show personally that I've seen in Las Vegas, Awakening. There was so much hype about this one. The advertising was advertising, but I should have caught the red flag because it was being advertised more in the terminal that's considered like the dead terminal. I believe that's Terminal 1, the one where Delta comes out of, the terminal that pretty much doesn't have a lot going on, because I believe 3 is where Southwest is. That's where all the Cirque du Soleil shows are advertised. Whatever. The point is, Awakening was subpar. And I always struggle to say that. So maybe I should put this caveat / disclaimer in there. I admire all of the performers that are able to do this work because it's not easy, right? While I may not be entertained, they are up there putting in work. And that's something I recognize. So please do not take anything that I say in this video as a diss towards the performance themselves. I personally just didn't enjoy the actual show. The first reason being that I sat too close. And a lot of people don't know this, but sometimes you get really good seats. You pay a lot of money for a seat because you're right there by the stage, but it kind of also dims your experience because the light was like all up in my face. Now, there are gonna be lights in any Vegas show, but this one was just like smack dab. It was too much going on. The storyline was really hard to follow. It just felt like something that kids would enjoy even more, and even they would probably be a bit lost, right? Also, another disadvantage to sitting so close is sometimes you're able to see all of the backstage stuff going on underneath the stage, and it's kind of distracting from the main show. Whatever the case was, it just did not give what it advertised. And so I'm gonna rate it the worst that I have personally seen. The second one being Prince. Prince was a really good show, but again, it's not better than the other ones that I'm going to list. There are 2 Prince shows in Vegas. I'll pop the one that I actually saw here. And I don't think that was the official one, but it was a Prince show. And I believe it's the one that's advertised on the billboards and stuff. And it was okay. I thought the person who played Prince looked a lot like him. I'm more of a Michael Jackson girl, so maybe that's why it didn't fully do it for me. But it was a great show nevertheless. I don't really have a lot to say about it. It just has to fall under the next one because all these others were much better to me. Number 3 was Ka, right? This is a Cirque du Soleil show. I did very much enjoy it, just not as much as I enjoyed the other Cirque du Soleil shows. Now, I don't know if you know this, but cameras are not allowed in most of these shows, in particularly Cirque du Soleil. So as much as I would like to be giving y'all all the visuals while I'm telling these stories, it's a little hard because you don't get to really record anything. If I do pop any snippets, please remember that I didn't record it. But yeah, Ka was very fun. There was a lot of, martial arts and all that, which is not too much my vibe, but it was fun. It was a nice little story of a girl that's coming of age and all of this stuff here. But again, just not really my cup of tea, but it was still a great show because Cirque du Soleil just tends to put on a great show in general. Next up is going to be O. I'm not a big water person, but it was so impressive to see the art that they were able to create while in the water. This is one of the shows that I believe I sat too close. I took this suggestion from someone who saw it years ago and it was like, oh, you're gonna love it. It feels very like interactive because the water splashes on your face and you feel like you're actually in there with them. Me personally, I would have liked to sit a little bit further back. Right there in the middle, but just a little bit further back. So if you're gonna go see O and you're not really one of those people that really needs to be fully immersed, I think middle might work better for you. But personally, anyway, that was the next worst show that I've seen. Okay, now we're getting to business now. Michael I saw recently and I saw it twice back to back. I saw it on a Friday and I saw it on a Saturday. And both times were great. I saw the Friday show at 9:30 and I saw the Saturday show at 7:30. What I personally thought was missing from the Michael show was energy. So the Friday show that I saw at 9:30, I thought they were just tired because it was the last show. But then once I saw the 7:30 one, they had just the same amount of, you know what I mean? For it to be Michael, you gotta be, And they just weren't giving it. They weren't giving what it was supposed to give. And I was actually shocked that this was a Cirque du Soleil show, because I know that Cirque du Soleil is very big on, you know, like full out. But another thing to keep in mind is they're more of like the acrobatic type of performers, not so much dancers. So maybe that's why the choreography wasn't as tight as I thought that it should be. Nevertheless, I thought it was a great tribute to Michael. There's the part of the show where his holograph comes on, and that was super emotional. I really was like teary-eyed in that part, because it really makes you feel like he's right there with them. So I do feel like the special effects team did a great job. Per usual, Cirque du Soleil shows always have like so many things going on to catch you at the same time, right? So it's never just one thing that you're staring at. It's stuff flying over, it's stuff jumping at you, it's stuff on the stage. It's a lot going on. It was a great show. It was a great show. It just was not as good as the others that I'm going to talk about. Okay, Brian Mcknight. I saw Brian Mcknight in June of this year, and I cannot stop talking about this show. So I've always been a Brian Mcknight fan. My sister is more of a hardcore fan. I was exposed to his music because she listened to a bunch of Brian Mcknight growing up, and I fell in love with some of his songs as well. I thought he was a great singer. I had no idea the personality on this man, right? Threw me for a loop, just because he just seems like the person that sits behind the piano, you know, or behind the mic. But he was actually quite funny. He was very interactive. But reason why this show was such a good show was because his voice. Oh my. Brian Mcknight's voice. He sounds better live than on the records. And I can't say that about a lot of artists. The only other artist I could say that about would be T-Pain. I know, right? I'm not talking about the auto-tune stuff. If you ever hear him sing live, he sounds amazing. And Brian Mcknight stole the show. Like, I just don't understand. His voice was so melodious. It was so sweet. It was just like butter. And he was so effortless. And I'm like, dude, you've been doing this for decades. And your voice is not like, it doesn't seem like he's had any kind of vocal damage whatsoever. The man is just on it. And like, the entire vibe was just right. Like, again, he's not much of a performer. He's more of a singer. And I love that he just stayed in his lane. You know, every now and then he tried to do a little 1-2, but for the most part, he sang, and it was amazing. And now that we're talking about actual singers, I'm realizing that there's someone that I might have forgotten. So I'm gonna just pop her in here. Don't go by this order, but sure, you can go by this order too. Celine Dion, right? I caught her very last show here in Las Vegas. My sister's husband flew her out here for her birthday as a surprise, and we saw Celine Dion, and oh my gosh, those tickets were expensive, but so worth it, especially considering the fact that she never returned back to Resorts World. I hope that she actually comes back, but I still feel like nothing would beat her Caesar shows. That was my very first time seeing her live. Zero idea that she also had a lot of personality, right? So she obviously gave us the vocals, because Celine's always gonna do that. She was so funny. I felt like I was seeing a stand-up comedy show and like an actual singing thing at the same time. It was just, she was phenomenal. Like I didn't realize she had that much stage presence, and it was just great. I would do it again. That's another show I would gladly see again. Okay, up next is Zumanity. This is a show that's actually canceled, so I'm so sorry for those of you that might have been interested. I believe this one was canceled because one of the cast members passed away. So they fell in an injury during a show. I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Zumanity that happened with. All I know is they're no longer playing it. I'm so glad that I lived in Vegas early enough to have caught this show. It is a bit on the raunchy side. It was a lot of going on, a lot of pheromones, a lot of energy, right? But that's not why I particularly liked Zumanity. I liked it because I felt that everybody was in character. Does that make sense? Like, I showed up in that room, and until I left, I was inside, like I was in it. And that I can't say about any of the Cirque du Soleil shows, funny enough. But it was a very great show. They no longer show it again. Sorry about that. I still had to include it in here. Okay, second to the best, Maxwell. Oh my gosh. Now, I didn't think Maxwell was as great of a singer live as Brian Mcknight was, but the energy at his show was phenomenal. People came there to dance, to have a good time, and he just emitted that energy that was just like, You know what I mean? Like, it was such a happy vibe and a happy time. I saw that this year as well. And he was so good. Like, he's also one of those artists that's been out for a long time. And so you really get to like travel down memory lane through his catalog. And he sang some of the old classics. And then he brought it back to like the newer ones, like Cake by the Ocean. Like, it was giving everything that it was supposed to give. I was not expecting to have that much fun at a Maxwell concert. I had so much fun that I'm considering going to his February 14th cruise. That's gonna be with him and all these other artists. He was promoting that at the show. But yeah, he had kind of like a trilogy. I believe he was here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I caught the first show. And it was amazing, like phenomenal Maxwell. It wasn't a lot of people. He had his band. He had one lady who was his backup singer. Then he had the drummers, and that was it. But the show was a great time. And now for the #1 show that I've seen in Las Vegas, Mystere. I've seen the show 3 times. That's how much I like it. I always get a different seating area so that I can get a different angle. And the very last time I actually saw it, somebody fell-ish. But I'm glad that that was not my first time, right? Because I already knew what to expect. It is the best show that Cirque du Soleil has in Vegas, hands down. Before you go waste any of your money on the other ones, because they do price them by the hotel that they're showing at, right? Mystere shows at Treasure Island, so it's not considered like really high price casino. But to my surprise, it was and is the best Cirque du Soleil show out there. From the very first moment that the show starts, it hooks you in. It's not the same way that Zumanity hooks you in. It's more like it appeals to all your senses. You're seeing, you're hearing, you're like, it's just a lot. It's a lot going on, but it's very entertaining. The costumes to me are still the best ones that Cirque du Soleil has. The energy level that the people that are performing have, it's everything. It's just all of it, all of it. It's just a good amount of playtime, a good amount of laughter, a good amount of entertainment. Mystere is just Mystere. Like, I don't know. And I'm not even someone that's really like big on like French culture, but that is what the background of Mystere is. It is more French inspired, but chef's kiss. Like, I loved every minute of that show. And it's still one of the shows, knowing what I know now, it's the one that I would take someone to go see if they were visiting Vegas for the first time. So do with that what you will. And that's the end of the video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen other shows in Vegas that you recommend, please comment them down below. If you have any questions about anything I said, comment those down below as well. I love you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Mwah.